All right, easy here for my latest partner, ExpressVPN. You're like, what the hell is that? I'll get to that. Calm down. First of all, going online without ExpressVPN is like forgetting to mute yourself on a Zoom meeting. Do you really want all of your coworkers to hear you trash talking them? Okay, so that's kind of like helping me illustrate to you what's up. Why everybody needs a VPN. Okay, so everything you do online, the shows you watch, the websites you go to, anything you do online, that gets sent to your internet service provider, including your mobile network providers. They know every single website you visit. All right? Reroute 100% of your traffic to ExpressVPN through their secure encrypted servers so your ISP cannot see your browsing history. Privacy is really big to a lot of folks, so that's why this is very, very important. ExpressVPN is the best. They hide your IP address, making it extremely difficult for third parties to track your online activity. That's important for your old pal EZ because with my setup, I can't have any compromises. My internet is so important for doing what I do that if anything affects what I do, that's trouble. That's why I use ExpressVPN. Very easy to use. You just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. Works on all of your devices too, phones, laptops, tablets, more, so you can stay private on the go. I swear by this, and my life is so much easier now that the Eric Zane Show podcast is utilizing ExpressVPN. So what you need to do is protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/Zane. That's expressvpn.com/Zane. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/Zane. The Eric Zane Show podcast, the daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures from right here in my home base studio. Set above my garage, oftentimes the focus of comedy and attacks on your old pal EZ. For some people, folks, when they really want to quote unquote cut deep on your old pal EZ, they go, yeah, but you do your show from a studio above your garage. You fucking loser. I'm like, well, yeah, that's like a good thing. You know how much I've saved on gas when I get up, still in my underwear, and walk into here and sit down 25 feet away, get up out of bed, walk through my room, walk through my closet, open the door, and then sit down, and I'm broadcasting. That's good. Most people who do this for a living would prefer the least amount of distance possible to a microphone. I have not had to get dressed for work in 5.5 years. And all of the good news continues to hit me when Q100 reaches out and says, hey, we want you to stay in your underwear and do a morning radio show on Northern Michigan's Q100. We don't want you to have a sign behind you during your podcast, but we want you. All right, I'll do it. And then the latest afternoon drive on Big 101.3 in beautiful Grand Rapids, Michigan, playing the fun hits you know, which is interesting because, like, I'll play, like, Sugar Sugar by the Archies, and then I'll play, like, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Or maybe like Def Leppard or REO Speedwagon or something. So it's kind of like a weirdo classic rock station. I think they call them classic hits. Old hits for old people. Patrick says, doesn't Howard Stern do his show in his basement? What a terrible insult. Yeah. Sure that the posh studios of Howard Stern may look a little different than your old pal EZ. I think part of what I do is, I don't have like a decorator or anything like that or anything to make this look incredibly spectacular. But I would say that this room is an accurate representation of me as a whole. And a whole, which I am a whole. So, whatever. What is that the best you can do is say, oh yeah, well look, the location doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I do it from a studio downtown in a penthouse or here in the room above my fucking garage. The bottom line is all that matters is what comes out of my beautiful mouth. And it's always incredible. It's perfectly timed. I can do no wrong. I can't even say that with a straight face. Hang on. I join you today as I'm trying to, it was a crazy day yesterday. And I dropped the ball, but I do have an excuse. My brain was going in like 10 directions for a lot of reasons. On the surface, I'm getting a lot of, hey, Eric, sorry for your loss. And people are very, very understanding as to why I wasn't here yesterday. But there is not an excuse for the late notice. I should have right away published on all the places where I would publish. Hey, I'm not going to be here for the Thursday edition of the show. There's been a death in the extended family, and I have to go off to a funeral, which went off perfectly. But I think a little bit of it is there had been some shock in the family because extended family member passed away earlier in the week, and everyone in the extended family is kind of giving these folks some space and awaiting to find out like any type of funeral information. And I don't think I've ever experienced this, and I'm not complaining. It just was like, oh boy, we got to do some adjusting of the schedule very, very quickly, because on Wednesday evening, I got notice like at 6 p.m. Hey, the funeral arrangements are set. Okay, great. What are they? In 15 hours. Okay. At that point in time, you're like, what? Ah, come on. But you're like, no, resist the urge to do that. These people are hurting. So I'm like, oh, no problem. Cool. Hop in the car. Good to go. So that means 12, 13 hours for me, because this is 3 hours away. No big deal. Can still make it happen. So then I immediately started the process of taking the necessary steps to make it work, which means I need somebody to watch 4 dogs. My dear pal Lisa, I said, hey, can you take my 4 dogs? Yes. Okay, great. I'll be there tomorrow. So Jeremy says, hey, maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't think you owe us an explanation, Easy. You do your best to take care of us when you have planned absences. I think that more than makes up for any. Well, no. You're right. I don't want you to get the wrong idea that I'm doing this because I owe you an explanation. But people were worried about me because there was no explanation. So that's not very typical of me to say, hey, I might be gone or whatever. And this time I did not. And I think I've done this one time in the past. So people were genuinely worried about me. Why? What happened? We haven't heard anything, and typically you're doing your show. So I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I'm only doing this to just give you the background of what happened, because it is kind of interesting. And hey, I definitely dropped the ball, but there with an asterisk. I'm not beating myself up over it, because it was a wild chain of events that happened. And then there's kind of like some other, in addition to the loss that is obviously very, very sad. There's a lot of other factors in that scenario that I don't even know if some of you have ever picked up on what's going on here, but there's a lot of vagueness concerning the scenario that it needs to stay that way, that have made all of this extremely stressful. I'll just leave it there. And so my mind was in other places. And honestly, it should have been fully on the moment in time of the passing. But for a number of extenuating circumstances, my brain was in other places. And I was combating those things from the time I found out about this to actually getting, well, till now, because it's still bothering me. And there's no, I don't want to blue ball you, but I'm not really getting into that in any way. So, when we, I get up at like 5:30 on Thursday, got to get the dogs over to Lisa's house, get the dogs back, shower, shave, get my clothes, drive 3 hours, and there, and then come back home. And somewhere in there, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I haven't even said anything to the audience about where I am. People are worried about me, so I put something out on Facebook, but still not everybody sees that. If I had been appropriately handling this, I would have put out an audio, short little 1 minute thing on the audio platform. There's a number of boring things I could have done, but did not. So sorry about that. Hope you weren't worried. There's nothing worse than when you're traveling along towards a destination and on the GPS you see a long red line. You were following the nice blue one. Clear roads. You're buzzing along at a great pace. You can't figure out why the GPS is telling you you're going to be there at a certain time, which is not what's going on in your brain. You're like, there's no way. I mean, we're kicking ass. How can I possibly be that late? Sure enough, over towards the east side of the state of Michigan, they have decided to do a rebuild of this major artery called I-96. It goes east and west. So, this is such a bitch. It's been going on for extended time. So for about 15, 20 miles, they ripped up all of one side, rebuilt it, and then the 4 lanes is now that they rebuilt on the that is going eastbound. They divided that, so 2 of those lanes is the temporary westbound, 2 lanes is the temporary eastbound, while they rip up the westbound side and rebuild that. Now, when Governor Whitmer was put into office, she ran under the I'm going to fix the damn roads. And she is. Boy, is she. It appears like she's doing them all at once. So, that's a bad feeling. And then it says, you're going to be late to your destination. Funeral starts at 10. A very intimate scenario. And I realize that I'm walking in late. We are walking in late. Now, it already sucks because 75% of the people in that room hate my guts. So I'm like, oh, Jesus, fuck. Head down. Don't look at anybody. Mouth shut. That was my philosophy. Head down. Don't look at anybody. Mouth shut. Shut your mouth. So I did. But it was still awkward as fuck walking into there. God damn it. Son of a bitch. All right. So that about does that. Made it back safe and sound. Picked up the dogs. Did the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast where we unearthed a gem. A new gem. And I don't think I would be doing right by the Patreon audience who actually pays for that shit to feature the new Ben Glaze podcast. Excuse me. Ben Glaze just recorded his new pilot episode of the Bomedy podcast. Ben decided, easy, I'm going to do a podcast about how shitty I am at comedy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he did it. And he went like 35 minutes of solo mic podcasting, monologue. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's fantastic. This is going to be so bad. So he got it done, and he sent it to me. All right. We featured the first minute of it yesterday on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. The first 40 seconds was music intro. And then Ben starts yapping. And his delivery, it seems to me like he was experimenting. Because he didn't sound like his usual. He sounded like he was energetic, which is a goddamn miracle. But it was, a few seconds after that, he started to dip into full-on Ben by going, and all sorts of superlative details on shit. I was like, oh, God, here we go. He's back. First 10 seconds was a different Ben, and now he's already reverted to shithead Ben. Oh, no. So I sprung that on him. He was kind enough to send it my way because he's a legend. And he knew he was going to take that punishment at some point. So that started yesterday. Oh. Incredible. And I had said to him, I go, I'm going to listen to it first before I ever unveil it to the audience. Well, that was not true. I mean, I had said that, but I just didn't do it. So I had an open spot. We were pretty much done talking about what we wanted to talk about for the show. We talked about a few things, and then I go, all right, we got some time. Let's bust out this new podcast. And boy, was he cringing. He was so uncomfortable. You must see/hear this. Again, if you're on Patreon, I really think you're missing out if you don't watch these episodes, because then you get to see the facial expressions. We also we broke it down as we invited my lovely wife, Pooh Bear, to ask her thoughts about finger banging. Specifically, if your significant other goes to Las Vegas with his pals and they go to the strip club and they have free finger banging, if you do that, are you in trouble? You're thinking, wait, well, of course you're in trouble. Patrick writes, I love the new Ben segment. I always love goofing on Ben and Bethany. Oh, without a doubt. All right. So that was a good time. And then prior to that, we also did on Patreon, Who Are These Zanes, where we featured material from August of 2003, EZ, and two knuckleheads. Not bad, actually. The show wasn't bad. There was a lot of stupid parts, but there was a lot of good parts, too. Tyler says, if it's free, finger banging is fine. Jeremy says Pooh Bear was very definitive in her answer about finger banging. Wait a minute. Did I say finger banging? I meant to say finger blasting. There is a difference. It's the word blasting. That's the difference. This all started because Ben's walking down the street in Vegas, on the strip, with Brett Hayes, and there's a dude there with a shuttle bus. He says, hey, come to our strip club. We've got free finger blasting. And they're like, what? And he says, yeah, you can finger blast the dancers. What the fuck? How hideous is that? And who does that? Go to the strip club. There's some strange woman butt naked, and you just start finger blasting? My God. Our society is fucked. That's horrendous. You know how it is, though, but there's a lot of people that say that the sex trade industry should be is completely on the up and up, and in places like Vegas where it's legal, we should have that everywhere. And I don't know. I guess in our society we're at a point where we're letting our guard down more and more about letting people do what they want. Like if you just want to get up and walk down the street and go to the local finger blasting pub, you can just finger blast, to your heart's content. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go to the finger blasting facility and do that. The same way I haven't tried any type of cannabis products because that's just not something I'm interested in. You get a lot of folks to say, well, yeah, in Michigan, as soon as they made it legal, it's going to open the door to a lot of people trying cannabis for the first time and make them, well, so be it. If that's what they want to do. And there's a lot of folks that say that if you want to just go out down the street to Francesco's Finger Blast Emporium, you can walk in there and just finger blast to your heart's content. Like that should be a thing. And I don't know. I think when it gets to things sexual in nature, I think that might be too much. I don't have a problem with drugs being legal. But I don't know, something about women thinking that's a way to live. That's a little bit much, especially when you look at the vulnerability of young women who might be, in a bad scenario with no way out, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm in this financial dire straits. I can just go over to Francesco's there, his Finger Blast Emporium, and ask if he's hiring. And I can't really get behind that. However, on the Who Are These Zanes show yesterday, there was one horrible moment that hasn't aged well. Jesus Christ. I guess on that show, August 13th, 2003, it was shortly after. Hold on. Nick in Houston says, sorry for the ignorance, but what is finger blasting? Well, okay, let me ask you this before I answer that. What do you think finger blasting is? I mean, contextually, I've talked about women going down this road and trying to apply for a job at Francesco's Finger Blast Emporium and how awful that is. And I've been talking about things in a sexual nature. All the clues are there. If I have to go and say, yeah, Nick, this is what finger blasting is. True, you may never have heard the term, but I have given you so much information here, contextually. This is ridiculous for you to even ask the question, excuse me, but what is finger blasting? Holy shit. He writes, I'm going to get beat up for this. And then he adds, maybe this is why I got divorced. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Because I guess if it was maybe big picture, you can't read rooms well. I don't know if that necessarily leads to one wanting to divorce someone. Oh, that Nick, man, he just can't read the room. What do you mean? Former Mrs. Nick? I don't know. It's just, he walked into the house. I was nude on the bed with my legs spread, and I was yelling, Nick, get over here and fuck me. And he said, what do you mean? Yeah, in that regard, I would say that there is potential of why you got divorced. Context it bounces off of you. Ping, 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 ping. You dumbass. That question by Nick, what is finger blasting, has completely ruined my train of thought. I don't even remember what bit I was going to do there. Your question filled up every corner of my brain. Jeremy writes, Nick's wife, quote, come fuck me. Nick, quote, yeah, fuck you. Stevie says, poor Nick, this is all so sad. Oh, I agree. And it goes back to his question of what is finger blasting? Come on, man. Yeah, that was quite a derailment because I think I was going somewhere with a point and it's gone now. But that's okay because you asking that question has really driven home hilarity, in my opinion. Tyler wrote, it's exactly what you think it is, LOL. So true. All right. For those on Facebook, X, and YouTube, thank you for checking out the show. The rest of it is on Twitch, twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. All one word, Twitch. I'm sorry. You go twitch.tv, and then you go / all one word, Eric Zane Live. Or download the Twitch app and search Eric Zane Live. And then you can see and hear the rest of this show. And then when I start the next one, you start on Twitch, and you forget about Facebook, X, and YouTube. All right. So there you go. And if you want to say hello, drop me an email, eric@ericzaneshow.com on the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Patreon, as I mentioned, is a thing for you to get even more content. Patreon.com/Eric Zane, where yesterday the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast featured Finger Blast Talk. And, I remember what I was talking about. On Who Are These Zanes? We played clips of Hot Wings and I being very excited and aroused at the Miss Teen USA pageant, which featured like 16, 17, and sometimes 18-year-old women. And here we are on the radio going, oh, yeah, oh, man, yeah, I was hard. I don't think we said I was hard, but we were implying it. It was so bad. It would have been bad if we were 17 and talking like that. We were, I was 33 years old at that time, talking about underage women grossly on the fucking radio. So ugly. Oh, that's fucking hideous. Speaking of not being able to read the room, that was me, I guess, back in the day. Let's go ogle young children on the radio. It was horrible. Anyway, that's on Patreon, patreon.com/Eric Zane. Tyler writes, Nick's girlfriend is in for quite a surprise tonight, probably. Homework assignment for all audience members. If any of you, by chance, get involved in any type of lovemaking activities, from my little corner of the internet, my audience here, if you could at some point work into the lovemaking, the term finger blasting. Like, I don't want to know, like, what goes on in the bedroom of some of you, or all of you, frankly. It's just, this isn't that type of show. But if you could at some point, let's say you're a female or a male and you're getting ready for the night's lovemaking. If you could work in finger blasting, actually saying that at some point, and then just tell me the reaction you got. So basically, if you're a guy and you would have to at some point say, so, hey, let's do some finger blasting, or do you want to get finger blasted? Just for that type of response. And ladies, if you could maybe, I mean, you might, I don't know if I'd necessarily want you to do it if you're normally a quiet person during your love-making sessions. So I don't know if that would make sense. But if you are of the vocal persuasion, you would have to say, hey, how about some finger blasting? And then all I need is the reaction. I don't want to get anything. I don't want to hear about you, and don't even tell me exactly. I know what you said. Just say, this is easy. This is the reaction I got. He might walk out of the room. Like Maureen, she says, Mr. Maureen might have a heart attack. Yeah. Well, that would be something. Couple in their 60s. And I don't know, maybe you guys, maybe you're a wildcat, and so is he. When Mr. and Mrs. Maureen lovemaking sessions take place. But if you bust that out, yeah, that would be outrageous. I need to know the response. It's the Eric Zane Show podcast Finger Blast Challenge. It's a new segment. All right. I'm sure we'll get tons of response. I don't think anybody would have the nerve to be able to, what do you call it? Report on that. And I don't blame you. Sorry. I'm staring at this remote control for this air conditioner that I just turned on. You might be able to hear it in the background. And my eyes are so bad, I can't read it. There it is. That's what I want. It's embarrassing. Tyler writes it as Finger Blast Friday. I love that alliteration. Patrick says, I love this. Now, if some of you audience members feel so inclined to record this during your lovemaking session, like the audio, go ahead. I would love the audio of you saying, hey, and in fact, Maureen says, I think I'll try this with her husband backup tear. Maureen writes, quote, I think I'll try this. Eric Zane wants you to finger blast me. Okay. Amy says we need a report about this on Monday to Maureen. Maureen says he would be disgusted. But what a fucking prude. April 27th is National Finger Blasting Day. Stevie says, put it on your calendar for next year. Kuipers says, have Linda record it. Like in Maureen's bedroom? Is that what you're saying? I don't know if that's in the playbook. I don't think that, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I guess it's possibly true that Linda watches her sister have sex with Tare. I'm just going to tell you this. If Diana said, hey, I want you to finger blast me, I might even be able to jizz. That would be so arousing. All right, this is all stems from what we talked about on the show yesterday. I forgot how we got into it already. It gets in my brain and then it leaves. Maureen says Linda would be disgusted. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe it's all a front. Maybe she's just acting disgusted because she doesn't want you to think that she's down. Down to F. down to finger blast. All right. So if you go to Vegas, you can be involved in finger blasting. The open and live stream of my show today is brought to you by Senior Finger Blaster himself, Joe Martinez from A&E Heating and Cooling. And I always love getting correspondence from the audience of when they interact with sponsors in the wild. Tim D. writes on Wednesday, he wrote, Joe Martinez is taking all my money tomorrow. Kidding. I want to thank you for introducing me to him through your podcast. It is nice having people you can trust, and he is that type of person. I also take care of all his tire needs, so he helped me out. Thank you, Eric. Your tire place should sponsor the podcast! Exclamation point. Who do I contact? Question mark. There you go. So, obviously, Tim took me up on my message when I said you need to reach out to Joe for anything heating and cooling and not medical advice. 616-516-8579. Or just remember A&E Heating and Cooling and look them up on your own. They are the best. 616-516-8579. It's me, not you, 1969. Checks in and says, hey, EZ, did you know that no free show posted yesterday? You may have gotten here late. Yes, I had a busy day yesterday with some family stuff to take care of, which I talked about earlier in the show. And so I wasn't able to do it. My apologies. No big deal. Nick in Houston checks back in after his question of what is finger blasting. He says, I just looked it up on Urban Dictionary and got a very graphic description of finger blasting. Well, I'm curious what they write. Finger blasting Urban Dictionary. The act of which a male inserts one or two or more fingers as far as possible into a woman's vagina, then pumps the fingers back and forth vigorously until the female blasts her sweet punani juice all over the landscape. Now, I don't know if that works all the time. See also Crimson Switch. Using it in a paragraph. Dave, how'd it go last night with Lisa? Lurch responds with, it says Lurch, great. I spent a hot minute finger blasting that shit. Dave, how was the cleanup? Lurch says, it was okay. Mostly got on my face. Andy had manual stimulation with Amy last night. She was pleasured 4 times. Man, he is a great finger blaster. Further definition, finger blast, to rapidly manipulate a vagina or asshole with one's finger. Thank you to Nick for opening up this Pandora's box. With his stupid question of what is finger blasting. All right. How horrible is this? Thank you to Irvine's Auto Repair, Grand Rapids Hybrid, and EV. They're like, oh, no, please don't include us after the finger blast conversation. All right. I'll come back to that. You need to call Mario Flores from the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. Now with more finger blasting at 231-332-6505. Mario can put you in front of your mortgage today. Seriously, by the end of the day, you could have your mortgage pre-approved so that you could start your house hunting. I was talking with my brother, World Book Jim, yesterday, and he says the rates are going down. And I go, how do you know? He goes, because I'm World Book Jim. And I go, okay. They will eventually go down. I don't know how much time that's going to be, but inflation has kind of slowed down dramatically, which means they'll start to lower the interest rate. 231-332-6505. Get started today with the red carpet service from the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. NMLS number 3035. Now we talk about Irvine's. See, that palate cleanser. None of us are thinking about it anymore. Was able to hang out with the multi-talented Megan yesterday for the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. So much fun. Take your cars to Irvine's. Megan also had some incredible information for us. She is she's a biological wonder. She revealed some real fun facts about herself that you got to see it to believe it, see it or hear it. Some people in the chat probably want to, say it right now, but don't do it. Don't do it. Keep it on the down low. Reach out to Megan at Irvine's Auto Repair, Grand Rapids Hybrid, and EV. You can even reach out to them when you're doing something like pinching a loaf. Just call 616-532-6600. There's a little Easter egg there for you. 616-532-6600. Don't keep that car problem pent up inside of your colon for a full week. Get it taken care of at Irvine's. 616-532-6600 today. Rebecca, when talking about our economic situation here in the United States, says it's not inflation, it's corporate greed. Well, I don't know about that. I think that Americans were borrowing a lot of money at the time, if you recall. Increasing the debt to a point where it's like, okay, this is going to put a lot of people in a lot of trouble if we don't try to slow down what they can borrow. So they tick up the percentage rate on those interests for car loans, boat loans, anything like that, credit cards, mortgages, in an effort to slow down our spending. Then people don't spend as much. Not as many people are buying those things. People who can't afford it. And then after it kind of settles down, inflation drops because the demand has dropped. I think it's simple economics, Rebecca. No offense on that one, but I don't think everything is a conspiracy. You sound like a right-wing conspiracy theorist when you say, it's just corporations. Don't forget, they want you to spend money. So I don't know necessarily if it's as simple as that. I'm greedy, okay? I think everybody's greedy to some level. Rebecca says, well, you have to look at all the corporate CEOs. They got huge bonuses due to inflation. Well, yeah, of course. They're the boss. They're the ones leading these great companies through this what we're going through right now. Let them make their money. We need rich people in this world. I say yes to bonuses for all CEOs of major companies. We'd be a lot better off if we stopped giving money to the poor. Going forward, give less to charity, more to yourself. This is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about the Great Food Giveaway. That's back for another year. Sorry. Tyler says, don't spoil anything. I just got to the part where Jimmy described his date. And then he actually used the words that Jimmy described his date with. You can't say don't spoil it and then you actually spoil it. You idiot. All right. Seriously, it's been 1,000,000% ridiculous on this show since it started. We're knocking on the door of 1 hour of ridiculous bullshit. But I have to get serious right now because there is, almost everything is serious about this story. There's a 17-year-old kid who is missing out of Rockford, Michigan. And her name is Penelope Wise. And the whole family's freaked out. They cannot find her. I think the cops are treating it as a runaway. But, yeah, I'm always leery of that. Because whenever young people run away, especially chicks, there's potential that they could get abducted or sold into trafficking or just crazy shit. So, like, the whole community is on the lookout for this kid, this young lady. She's 17, Penelope Wise, which her nickname is Penny. So her name is Penny Wise, which is the same name of the goddamn clown E.T. Not E.T. In It, E.T. Fuck me. It, I.T., E.T. It. That movie, It. That clown is called Pennywise. So they named her Penelope Wise. I doubt that when they named her Penelope Wise, they had any idea, because that wasn't really known. I mean, sure, if you read the book, you knew about the clown Pennywise, but I think that's an accident. But who gives a shit about that? This is all crazy because the kid's missing. We shouldn't be focused on the name Pennywise when there's a missing child. Tyler says, not going to lie, I initially thought this was a fake story based on her name. No, it's totally legit. I just shared my screen, though, and instead of this story, it went to the definition of finger blasting, so that's not great. Okay. I said Rockford. I think she's out of Cedar Springs, though, which that's not great because that community, Cedar Springs, is full of losers. And that's where, what do you call it, Sexy Voice Andrea lives. Unless if she moved to an even shittier community.
You suck a big black dick because I know you want to.
So if that's the type of person that lives there is a greaseball family like that, you can imagine that that's where fucking dirty slime people go. So, I mean, probably not the Wise family, but you are surrounded by losers in a shithole town like Cedar Springs. It's known locally as Cedar Tucky, which, you know, that's like implying that it's a bunch of inbred fucks, and it is. So that's not good. You don't leave kids, young girls roaming the streets in Cedar Springs, Michigan. Fuck, Andrea probably ate the kid, starting with the vagina.
Silent Observer is offering a $1,000 reward for information that helps find a missing Cedar Springs teen. 17-year-old Penelope Wise disappeared some 2 weeks ago.
I talked to her parents who say she's run away before, but always returned home quickly. Nothing like this has happened before.
I will look outside and I wonder, where are you, Penny?
It's a question this mom keeps asking herself.
We are exhausted. We are physically exhausted.
What the what? What am I looking at here? Wait a minute. Are the mom and dad twins?
Exhausted, emotionally exhausted. We worry about her safety.
Michelle and David Weiss say they have no idea where their 17-year-old daughter could be or if she's okay.
We want her home. We want her safe. It's every parent's worst nightmare. And we're living it, and we've been living it for 2 weeks.
Pennywise was last seen May 31st, walking away from their home near Morley Park in Cedar Springs.
She took off. There was a small tiffed disagreement, like a normal teenager. And she decided to take a walk to the end of our street and to cool off. And she never returned.
Later that day, the teen was spotted on surveillance video 5 miles away on Rockford Park Drive near Northland Drive. She's wearing a pink tank top and shorts.
That's the last anybody has seen or heard from her.
During a search party at Morley Park, just a couple days after Penny disappeared, Michelle says she found 2 shirts on the ground that belonged to her daughter. She was wearing them the day she took off. Deputies consider Penny a runaway. A spokesperson with the Kent County Sheriff's Office says its detective bureau has done extensive searches using dogs, drones, and MSP's helicopter. Searchers also looked for her on foot.
Everything that everybody is doing is so helpful. We're so thankful for it.
As the days go by, this family has a message for their daughter.
We want her to know that we love her. We miss her deeply. We want to know that she's safe.
What the fuck happened?
And the parents say Penny did have a cell phone, but she got it behind their back, so they have no information on it to track the phone.
She got it what? What was that last line there?
But she got it behind their back, so they have no...
She got it behind her back. Behind their back.
No information on it to track the phone.
That was weird. Oh, yeah, that is true. Every parent's worst nightmare. With some horrible comments coming in. Young Adam Schwab writes, her parents killed her. Yeah, I don't think the mom and dad killed her. You idiot. David in Hudsonville follows that up with another horrible crack. She ran away to embarrassment from a recent finger blasting. You guys are going to feel bad if that's, ultimately the fate of her. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure this is she'll be back. I hope so. All kidding aside, I hope that works out. When I had a flashback when they said that there was a disagreement, because I think with every daughter you have potential for one of those disagreements. I learned enough from Jacqueline to make me a smarter dad girl with Madison. There are certain things that are not approachable. That it's just like if Team Blue tries to intervene on a daughter-related thing, it doesn't always work out for the best. Like if you got a son and, there's something that you want to take care of, it might just result in hey, shut the fuck up and sit down. Okay? But if it's a daughter and you drop that on them, oh, it's not good. Patrick says one parent said a tiff and the other quickly corrected the other and said disagreement. I didn't know which one was which of those two. It's like the mom and dad said, hey, this year, let's look exactly like each other. We both have glasses. We will both go to King's Room Barbershop. And we will have them cut our hair exactly the same. Like Rick Moranis in the movie Ghostbusters. When Jackie was about that age, she was pissed off about something. I've talked about this before. This is a fantastic moment in time. Ernie wanted, it was during the time when they were dating. Ernie wanted to get out of the house and leave. I go, yeah, man, she was on the warpath about something. So Ernie goes to leave. Now, eventually, she threw herself on the hood of the car. And that's awesome. If you're like the neighbors. And they're all like, I can see all of the all the curtains being pulled out and watching this all. I'm like, yes, oh my God, this is going to be it's terrible right now. This is going to be a great story one day. Just prior to that, she was in the house. Ernie's getting into his car. She sees that, and she's like, no, he can't leave. So I lock her up, you know. I did the old Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And I put my arms around her, and I grab my wrist with my one hand. Iron vice grip around her. She's in my arms, and we're facing the same direction. So from her back, I'm like hanging on. Excuse me. And I go, no, let him go. Everybody's got to cool down from this fight. She threw her arms up like the Hulk. And I went flying. There was no chance that I was going to maintain that grip. Tyler writes a reminder to himself, don't make finger blasting joke. Don't make finger blasting joke. She rips open the door and goes running outside. Ernie tries to leave, and she dives on the hood. Eventually, he gets away. I'm surprised she didn't just pick up the car and flip it over. Some teenagers respond this way. Other ones just go for a walk like Pennywise. She'll be home soon, no doubt. Let's hope. Jackie walks back in the house. While she was out there, I called 911. I'm surprised Stalkerito didn't get this audio like he likes to do and masturbate to. But, yeah, I called the cops. I go, I don't know what to tell you, man. I never thought I'd be the one, but there's literally nothing I can do. My powers are exhausted, and she's rampaging through the streets of Hudsonville. We got to do something. And there's this one cop who still to this day I see him, and I've interacted with him many times. His name's Skolton. And Skolton or Skolma? Skolma. Bangs on the door. Jackie's upstairs. I go, hey, Jim, what's up? And he goes, yeah, well, okay. Let me talk to her. Jackie. She comes down the steps. At that point in time, she was putting a lot of eye makeup on. And her tears made the eye makeup run down so she looked like the ultimate warrior. Tyler says, quote, 911, It's Eric again. No, I'm not driving this time. I need help controlling my She-Hulk daughter. So she comes down the steps. It's so embarrassing for me as a father that I'm powerless. And Skolma goes, can you come out here, Jackie? She comes out. And I'm like frightened for him at that point. And I could see that what he was saying, she's like not buying a word he's saying. And she wants to kill him. And I'm thinking to myself, to Skolma, you better put your hand on your pistol in case you got a shooter. Hand on pistol, Jim. We can't lose you. And if you must, you just shoot her. Jackie comes inside, walks by me, says she hates me. It's all over. It was incredible. What a moment. I'm so thankful that these things happen. If these moments didn't happen in my life, and if I didn't have the greatest ability ever to burn them into my brain and discuss them, and every time I discuss them, another layer of hilarity gets added to them, like in this case, finger blasting was added to the story. That wasn't prior. I owe it all to you. Those are the types of tiffs we had in our house. I don't recall really any tiffs with Madison. Anyway, I sure hope that Mr. and Mrs. Rick Moranis get their daughter. Jeremy says this is a terrible reference, and I'll probably get beaten up for it. But this reminds me of the 911 call of the parent having issues with her kid, and the dispatcher says, "What, do you want us to come over and shoot her?" Oh, no, that's a great reference. You must have confidence in your references. I loved that call. I think I have that here. That guy ended up getting fired. All right, let's check it out.
The 12-year-old is completely out of control, and I can't, physically, if she's as big as I am, I can't control her.
Okay, did you want us to come over to shoot her? Are you there?
Excuse me?
Oh, fuck. That silence.
She's as big as I am. I can't control her.
Okay, did you want us to come over to shoot her? Are you there?
Excuse me?
That's a joke.
Okay, that's not funny, Mike.
I'm
And
sorry.
guess what? I'm going to file a formal complaint.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well,
Hold
sorry
on.
doesn't
Hold
cut it.
on
I
one
need a police
second.
officer.
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, he ended up getting fired for that. In my opinion, the boss should have okay, Mike, I don't want to fire you because what you did is fantastic. It was a great line. So we're going to figure this out. We're just going to tell everybody that you're fired, but you're not going to be fired. And this is between you and I only. And then we're just going to pretend like nothing happened. Tyler writes, is she black? I need to notify the officers if they need to go in guns blazing or not. That's a really good reference, Jeremy. Have faith and confidence in your references, Jeremy. Speaking of Jeremy likes to send me clips of our pals, Free Beer and Hot Wings. So I think that's also rubbing off on other people. Josh Voss writes, 6:57 a.m. Friday, June 14th, today. He tips me off that our pal Freebeer said just kidding again. As you know, Freebeer will deliver a joke, and then he'll wait a second and he'll go, oh, I'm just kidding, which we're establishing a fantastic montage of him saying just kidding. Josh says 6:57 a.m. One of the worst just kiddings yet. I consider that to be best. And then he says about his ex. Wow. That would be Amanda, who's salt of the earth. I mean, I always got along great with Amanda. She was probably one of the more unique and eccentric people that existed. But I think we sensed that there was trouble on the horizon way back when Greg would come to work and, hey, you guys want to do anything? What, you want to come over and play wrestling video games or something? Yeah. What's going on? Well, my wife's going to be out of town for the next 4 weeks. Oh, yeah? Yeah, she's going away to a quiet retreat. She's going to be in inside of a teepee in the middle of the wilderness, middle of the Canadian wilderness, alone. It's a no talking retreat where for 4 weeks she sits inside of a goddamn teepee. And all I can picture is that scene in Poltergeist when they're trying to scare away the fucking ghosts inside of the teepee doing a rain dance. And we're like, he leaves the room and Howings and I are like, what the fuck is going on there? Like, I don't know. And then Greg would be like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. When I'm home 2 days a week, I try to talk to her. Was doomed. And she always seemed like she was ready to kick somebody's ass. I had to, I actually stayed at his house almost 20 years ago to the day. When we moved here to West Michigan, I stayed at Greg's house for a week while I finalized plans to move into my first residence in Jenison. So I had to live with that fucker. And right away, it felt like I was more in tune emotionally with what goes on in that house with Amanda than I was Greg. And right away, I could sense that she was the alpha and he was the beta. And I was like, man, this fucking woman doesn't take shit. There was one time in particular when I picked up her cat, Vladdy. And I didn't know anything about cats at the time, but I felt the need to pick it up and cuddle it. And so I pick up the cat, and its ears go down and sideways. And I hear, and I'm like, oh, to myself, he loves this. He loves me picking him up. She comes around the corner. She goes, oh, my God, put him down now, Eric Zane. And I go, okay. Yeah, he does not like that. Sorry. I did not mean that. I was like, I will never, ever fuck with this woman. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Montana for 6 months to sit in a teepee. Anyway. The line from Kenny, wife's going away to get finger blasted. Wanna come hang out? LOL. Jesus. All right. Anyway, I hope that kid's okay. That's how this all started. I mentioned this the other day, but not the neighbor kid, friend of the family is on the local high school softball team. Now, it isn't where I want to just sit down and discuss high school softball with you. I don't. But I will say this. When it comes to women's sports, right now, a lot of people think that the WNBA is like what all people who they're like trying to build their brand with. They were able to get an actual white woman who's good at women's basketball. So now there's a big push because she's not black to make her the, darling of the league, which if I'm the rest of the league, okay, that's insulting. 90% of the league is black ladies. And there have been some fantastic black ladies that have played and are playing now in that league. And they finally get a white chick who's good. And now they're like making a big deal about it. And I don't even know who I can say is making the big deal about it. If it's society or the league or advertisers who are getting behind her. But it's a goddamn embarrassment is what it is. There's always been great players in that league, comparatively to the other women that are in it. But why the fuck are they making such a big deal now? Yeah, you got to be watching women's basketball. Why? Because the good chick is white. Shut up. I'm going black all day on that one. Like the other day, some black chick knocked Caitlin Clark on her ass. And they're like, oh my God, you can't do that to Caitlin. Why? Because she's a white. Huh? Shut the fuck up. Where you been? The league's been in existence for like 30 years. Anyway. But overall, because I've watched some of those WNBA games and the college games, and the reason why I don't care for it, even if Caitlin Clark is in it and she's getting knocked around by all the black girls, is because it sucks. And I think that part of the problem why I think that is because there's men's basketball, which means it's natural to make an unfair comparison and have an expectation of how well you're going to be entertained. And I am not. I'm not entertained. The competition is good between the two teams, but if it's overall shitty and boring, I'm not interested. I think that the sports that people should make more of an effort to get behind are the ones that don't have a men's brand of it. Like volleyball, for example. There's a professional women's league. In fact, the new league here, just the first team is here in Grand Rapids, and they had like this crazy great year and packed houses every time they had a home match. So that's, I think, more of what should draw attention. Also, women's softball. There should be, because the reason why I say that is because women's softball does not compete against men's softball. Sure, there's baseball, but softball is a much different game. Yes, you hit a ball and you run around bases, but there's a lot more to it. The field is much smaller. The distance from the pitcher's mound to the plate is significantly shorter, resulting in arguably an even more difficult ball to hit. Yes, the ball is bigger, but the reaction time is as short or shorter. Because if a pitcher is throwing the heat at 90 miles an hour from one distance, and the pitcher in softball is throwing at 75, but it's a lot closer, come on, it's lights out. So I'm oftentimes interested when I see highlights of ladies softball, and the local team here is just kicking the shit out of everybody, and it features a friend of the family who the other day in the quarterfinals, her name is Megan Beamer. She hit 3 home runs in one game. It was incredible. And she hit 2 and then she came up one last time late in the game with a walk-off opportunity, and she hit I don't know why they didn't walk her. She hit the shit out of the third one. So that's 3 home runs for her. In fact, I should get my pal Dave on. Let's see. Hey, period. Can I call you real quick on the podcast to brag about Megan? ? Her dad is also the one that owned that company called Terry Berry that makes like class rings. That's the guy. If you have a class ring, he made it. He made all the class rings. He sits around and makes class rings. Anyway, kid hits 3 home runs. Team advances to the state semifinals. They play yesterday against some team that's awesome and is heavily favored. Number 1 ranked Farmington Hills Mercy. And they were favored against our Hudsonville Eagles with friend of the family, Dave Beamer's kid, Megan. And my neighbor across the street, his kid, Emerson, plays for the team. So we're driving back from this funeral, and we're listening to the game, and we kicked the shit out of them, mercied them. The pitcher for their team has already signed a commitment to the University of Alabama, which is like one of the top softball programs in the nation. So, my God, the game was in East Lansing at Michigan State. So I'm just happy that none of the girls were like molested by crazy people, because Michigan State University is full of them. You know, you can't. I don't even know why they do anything in East Lansing, because of all the possibility of terrible things happening because of that loser school. Anyway, so they kicked ass 10-0. Congratulations. They play in the state championships Saturday against Hot Wings School, Lake Orion. Hudsonville, Lake Orion in the state softball championships tomorrow, East Lansing, Michigan, 10 a.m. That's awesome. You're like, easy, come on. No, it's true. I love that. Patrick says women's pro wrestling is amazing. Kuipers says my pal is the assistant coach for Hudsonville. Patrick mentions female basketball player Diana Taurasi. White. Yes, she is white. All right. Anyway, that's enough talk about the WNBA and chick sports. I have a feeling I just lost the whole audience. Everybody might not be as excited or as exuberant about this as I am. Okay. Thank you very much to the King's Room Barbershop. Online at kingsroom.net. Haircuts are $19. Coming up July 8th through the 13th. They're celebrating their 50-year anniversary at all the locations for King's Room Barbershop. They're going back to 50 years ago pricing in 1974 when EZ was 4 years old. That's a time when you would walk into King's Room Barbershop. There's a pretty good chance that the guy cutting your hair was like smoking a cigarette while he's giving you a bowl cut. They would call it the Kevin Kuipers. Boy, times have changed. But when you go into King's Room Barbershop July 8th to the 13th to get your hair cut, like you should, Northland Drive and Caledonia and 821 36th Street in Wyoming, when you're done, You spin the magic wheel. You spin this fucking wheel that's there, and if it lands on different prices for different eras of King's Room Barbershop haircuts. How great is that? So the cheapest is $850, which I'm like, wait, $850? Was that how much it cost in 1974? They go, yep. I'm like, I think you're lying about that. More like 50 cents. There's no way it was $850 for a haircut in 1974. But that's what they're doing, which is still remarkably lower than $19.50. So reach out to my friends at King's Room Barbershop. Go see them. Northland Drive, Caledonia, and at 821 36th Street. Berlin Raceway in beautiful Marne, Michigan. We've got racing Saturday. Get your tickets, $14 a pop when you buy online, berlinraceway.com. Parking is free. Kids are free. 12 by 18 cooler. You're welcome to bring it in with all your snacks and your soft drinks. No glass, please, and no booze. They have booze there. You can drink whatever you want. Mixed drinks, beers. Beers for $6. That ain't god-awful. Better than most places. berlinraceway.com. And don't forget about TC Paintball, online at tcpaintballgr.com. Book an event for outdoor play at TC Paintball, Michigan's premier destination for paintball. tcpaintballgr.com. So great. I appreciate them very, very much. I'm going to make an attempt to cold call my pal Beamer. This ought to be great. He's thinking, no, don't do it. His kid hit 3 home runs in a game. 3. He's like, ignore. All right, call his wife. I love her so much. She's going to ignore my phone call, too. Oh, my God. I'm so shut out. Everybody hates Easy. That's what this is. Okay, it's embarrassing. Will I edit that out of the podcast? Of course not. No way, no how. Okay. Showbro Michael 91 says, I gotta get back into paintball. You should. And Rick, we need to schedule an event, for God's sake. All right. My brother still smokes. He owns the building, though. We sit in back, have a smoke, and then he cuts my hair. He just raised the price last year. Well, okay. You really need to throw your brother a curveball and tell him that you're going to King's Room Barbershop now. He'll probably hate you. But nevertheless, support the sponsors. Don't support your brother. Somehow I don't think that that's going to fly. All right. About a year ago, we started talking on the show about a story of one of the local TV stations, Wood TV8. They got into trouble because a guy who is, he's like the news director at the time, him and another person kind of like were, there was a whistleblower that said, hey, we got a memo from the people that are running this guy, Stanton Tang is his name. That's an Asian name. Stanton Tang and Amy Fox, the former assistant news director, were among 4 people last year who were fired from the TV station. Tang and Fox were involved in a memo that was sent out to the rest of the staff of the TV station because, as you know, a good portion of the community where we live in West Michigan hate gay people. And the news station is doing like the local, they give the reporters, hey, go out and get me a story, whatever. And one of the things they'll do is, all right, well, it's Pride Month, so there's a Pride Festival in Grand Haven. We're going to go cover that. Or there's the Pride Festival in Grand Rapids. We're going to cover that. Well, this supposedly they got a memo, a inter-newsroom memo that said, hey, if we can cool it on the gay people stories, that would be great. We've got enough gayness. And so that memo was leaked to some media watchdog. I forget the name of it. Media Matters, I think it was. And then it made the rounds. And then it became a big story. So now it's on fire. Well, Stanton Tang and Amy Fox were fired over that memo. Rightfully so, in my opinion. Well, now Tang and Fox are suing Wood TV for defamation. Headline reads, ex-Wood TV leaders hung out to dry for controversial memo on Pride coverage. And so now they are suing. Stanton Tang says Nexstar Media Group defamed him and falsely implied he was anti-gay to protect the company. His professional reputation was ruined according to the lawsuit. But the way I remember it is, Wood TV didn't say anything. Nexstar didn't say anything. They just said, yeah, there was some protocols that were broken, and that has led to this, this, and this. Basically, the news staff lost faith in the leadership, and that resulted in a firing. That can happen. You got to be very, very careful these days. You know, there's always something that you can do that can get yourself in some degree of hot water, and then shit rolls downhill really, really fast. Amy Fox said that the company falsely implied that she had, quote, somehow discriminated against LGBTQ persons. Nothing could be further from the truth. As Nexstar admitted privately, Fox did not discriminate against anyone. Rather, she was simply following Nexstar's news reporting policies as her supervisor had directed. So they're firing back. She said Nexstar destroyed Amy Fox's 28-year journalism career. Oh, no. The lawsuits were filed this week in district court. A Nexstar spokesperson declined to comment. Media reports last year said that the memo directed news staff to scale back their coverage of LGBTQ Pride Month to appease unhappy viewers. And that's true. The plaintiffs denied that that was the intent of the memo. It sure looked like it. I read the memo. Tang had asked Fox to prepare an internal memo reminding staff to consider newsworthiness of Pride events being covered in the West Michigan area, his attorney said. I guess the argument can be made. But, I mean, it is Pride Month, whether you like it or not. Okay, if I run the TV station, I'm like, I want all Pride stories. Because I know that it pisses off the rednecks that pay attention to news on that TV station. And when you piss them off, you're eliciting a reaction. You know, you might get some that say, I'm never going to watch again. But most of them will watch. And because they want a pound of flesh, they want to be on your Facebook post. They want to comment that God bless the USA and Donald Trump is coming and all that other bullshit that they spew and make fun of gay people and say horrible shit. If I'm in charge of the TV station, I love that. If I hear that Stanton Tang says, okay, we might have to I fire him too, just because, no, I want all gays. I want photographs leaked of all the news anchors sucking dick or eating vaginas. And I want that to be front and center. You know? Yeah. Top story, our lead anchor sucked a cock. Here's the video. Anything to piss people off. That, to me, is newsworthy. Whenever I hear about journalists saying, well, we're trying to keep the integrity of news, it's like such bullshit. It's like, yeah, like that fucking matters. It hasn't mattered forever. I don't even, I think that might be a myth entirely. If you ever want anything that's completely objective, and even that is questionable, is maybe like public news, public radio news. But you got to understand, behind every TV station, every online print publication, every radio station, there's a bean counter that's trying to make money. So if I run a TV station, I say every story must be about gays. All sports must be gay sports. All year. And I call the TV station W Pride. Just to piss these people off. Looks like a new commenter from the Magic Misfit. Don't recognize the name, but welcome. Maybe you're new or old again, or old but new again. The Magic Misfit says, what the fuck is up, chat? Yeah, I got banned all the time on Twitch. Yeah, no touching this story. They can do their thing. You're right, though. Jesus fucking Christ, Zane. LMAO. I think that's probably in relation to my comment about I want all news anchors sucking dick. And then the question, do you still have your scooter? No, I sold it to the Honduran. Gabe needed a bike, a scooter for when at the local track. He needed a pit scooter. That's how it is. You jump from stall to stall. You jump on the scooter. Get from point A to point B quickly, I guess. I think he's still got the fucking thing. I don't know. The scooter, 16 years old to this day. 99 cc's. Used to ride it to work. Get 100 miles per gallon. Those are good days. I should buy another one. All right. So anyway, those two got fired. They're suing, saying, oh, yeah, you damaged my career. Now shut up. I don't want to say anything because then you'll probably sue me too. I'm oftentimes worried about that. Who's going to be the first person to sue your old pal EZ? Hey, by the way, speaking of getting sued, two things. We need podcasts from, first of all, Justin. Pussy Mouth Justin. Wet Pussy Mouth Justin. And Saint Gaslight. You know he's dying to pop his head out from his turtle shell and spring himself on the world. The one and only producer, Joe. When are you going to quit being a pussy and do a podcast? What the fuck is wrong with you? My God. Talk about going away with your tail between your legs. Jesus H. I wonder how much money he got away with the quote-unquote resignation. It couldn't have been that much. I'll say $100,000 is all he got. And then you go away. And then that gives you time to rebuild your life. Supposedly, he is in the Bay Area of California, San Francisco, Oakland area. And I think the rumor is teaching people rock climbing, which cannot be that lucrative. And he has buried his head in the sand. I need a podcast so that I can review it on this show. No, I don't want Joe on this podcast. He's a fucking idiot. But in my mind, he's afraid to put out the podcast because of how much of a pussy he is. In my opinion, that's what's happened. A reminder, October 25th, EZ in Detroit, live on stage at the Magic Bag. It's another edition of Who Are These Podcasts Live. You can get your tickets at whoarethese.com. I know a few of you listen to Who Are These Podcasts. In fact, Carl said to me, EZ, can you make an appearance on Saturday? I go, I cannot. I am booked. It's unfortunate. All right. Finally today, scientists are confirming that they are figuring out that honeybees can be used to detect cancer. I swear to God. This is fascinating to me. I love this story. Honeybees can smell lung cancer. Researchers at Michigan State University have made this discovery. I guess they see what happens when you stop trying to diddle children. You actually do something productive. This could help create lung cancer tests for early diagnosis. Now, in my mind, I picture them like throwing a bunch of bees at some chick who they think has cancer, but that's probably not what they're doing. Debajit Shah, an assistant professor in the College of Engineering and MSU's Institute for Quantitative Health Science and Engineering, said insects have an amazing sense of smell the same way dogs do. The team of researchers came up with a way to mimic the breath of someone with lung cancer. The researchers then tested the synthetic breath on 20 bees. They printed a bee-size 3D harness and attached electrodes to the bee to measure brain signals from the bee. They compared the way the bees smelled synthetic lung cancer breath with a synthetic healthy breath. So they had guy with lung cancer breathe into a thing, and they let's get the components of that breath. They did. So they created cancer breath, and then the fucking bee is wearing like a cop wears the thing with the camera on his chest. The bee's got a harness on. So then the bee will fly up, and then they figure out how the bee is reacting, its brain signals, through the harness and the electrodes. Well, they attach the electrodes to the bee, and then the harness has all this shit on it. What the fuck? That's incredible. I think just the idea of printing a 3D bee harness is, what the fuck world are we living in here? In my opinion, if you can create a 3D bee harness complete with all that you need to make it so that the bee can detect cancer, if we can pull that off, why don't we really start to work on the other things in this world? How is it that anything is not solved? My God. We pass these odors onto the antenna of the honeybees and record the neural signals from their brains. We see a change in the honeybee's neural firing response. If I was a scientist, I would be intrigued by all sorts of smells. Not just cancer breath. I mean, that's interesting enough. But, I mean, that's just one part of the day. you could get dirty Zaniac snatch. Fuck that joke up. Dirty Zaniac snatch smell to see what happens to the bees. Like if you went and got sexy voice Andrea to open her legs and show her pussy lip mash and expose it to the air, how would that fucking honeybee react to that type of stench? The team also created different types of lung cancer cells and tested them on the bees. They found the honeybees could also smell differences between the healthy cells, the smell of cell lung cancer, and the non-small lung cancer cells. What is amazing, quote, is that the honeybee's ability to not only detect cancer cells, but also distinguish between cell lines of various types of lung cancer. So, I mean, basically, it's just a bee test. The future implications for this are huge, as our sensor could allow for patients to receive specific cancer diagnosis quickly, which is imperative for correct treatment routes. Now, I don't know if it necessarily means you got to go breathe on a bee, but maybe it does. Or if perhaps they're going to create a set of protocols so that they can build receptors that are exactly like the bees, that are even more in tune. Either way, though, if they have the ability through a bee or a piece of equipment to breathe on something and determine how healthy a person's lungs are, that is fucking incredible. My God. Very, very cool. All right. I got one more story to get to today. It is about the recent Supreme Court ruling yesterday, making it so that women can still take that pill and kill babies. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, easy, he's like anti-abortion. No, I'm the opposite. I'm more than abortion. I'm pro baby death. And they're like, EZ, how can you possibly say that? That's a horrible thing to say about killing babies. It's like, well, I'm not really one to dance around the words, and I can only use the words that are like on my playbook. And according to my playbook, if a woman is pregnant, like let's say she has sex and then it makes a baby, and it's the size of, one cell organism. In my opinion, that's a baby. That's a living being. And I am fully in support of killing those things if people want to. And you're like, how can you possibly say that shit? It's like, well, I've said this many, many times before. It would be a bad idea, in my opinion, to take away a woman's right to how she wants to treat her body. All right? And so that is just fucking messy, in my opinion. To say, no, you can't tell a woman how she can take care of her health. And that's the way that people describe it as, oh, yeah, it's all about women's health. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess so, because, if you don't want a baby and then you have a baby, that's a negative effect on your health. So in my opinion, taking a pill that wastes the baby is definitely supporting women's health. So I've got a very different take on this. It's my goal when I talk about the Supreme Court's ruling that women can get access to this drug, mifepristone. I think I say that. That's the abortion pill. What they did there, they made it so that chicks can get that. I try to go out of my way to, when I talk about abortion, to with one set of comments, support and yet alienate everyone involved. Because when I say that women who take that are killing their baby, the people on the right go, I love EZ because he thinks that's baby murder. But he supports it. So I hate EZ. And then on the other side, women are like, oh my God, I love Eric Zane so much. I always knew he would support women's right to choose and on women's health care. I love him for that. And I simultaneously hate him that he is telling the world that I'm a baby killer. But this is, everything I've said is true. I am simply taking what is given to me and breaking it down to the simplest terms possible. All of you that are in this argument on this side or that side, and then you use different types of words to make it seem something that it's not, to bolster your argument, make it seem like you're not a baby murderer, but you are. And then all these people are like, no, and the religious wackos, you're all crazy. Okay? You are fucking psychopaths. But I am firmly in support for baby murder. All right? And I would never, ever get in the way of that. I'm so happy that the Supreme Court has ruled that a group of doctors lacked legal standing to challenge the Food and Drug Administration's regulation of the abortion pill, preserving access to the medication nationwide. So, mifepristone, you have a baby and you take the baby, it immediately kills the baby. It's described in this story as medicine. Okay, that's like saying if I drank Roundup, the Roundup is medicine. Okay? Mifepristone is basically a weed control. The unanimous opinion was authored by conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh. You know we're on the right track, okay, when the conservative justice says yes to baby death. The case put abortion access back in the spotlight for the court for the first time. So how can I don't understand how Kavanaugh can be part of overturning Roe versus Wade, which that's unbelievable that even happened. And then in another decision, make it so that women can have access to mifepristone. That is fucking nuts. His writing. Plaintiffs are pro-life. Plaintiffs oppose elective abortion. Plaintiffs have sincere legal, moral, ideological, and policy objections to mifepristone being prescribed and used by others. Because plaintiffs do not prescribe or use mifepristone, plaintiffs are unregulated parties who seek to challenge the FDA's regulation of others. All right. So I guess maybe if the plaintiffs were using or prescribing, they might have a leg to stand on, but they don't. Plaintiffs advanced several complicated causation theories to connect FDA's actions to the plaintiffs' alleged injuries. In fact, Kavanaugh added, none of these theories suffices to establish Article 3 standing, and thus it is overturned. Women are eating them like fucking Skittles now. Babies are dying left and right. Infant mortality rose like 8,000% in the last 12 hours. Okay? It's like, honey, can you go get me some Skittles and some mifepristone? So if you're like 9 months pregnant, then you take the mifepristone, and then the baby just goes. I don't think it quite works that way, but the court's ruling means mifepristone will remain available under pre-existing conditions, which include allowing women to receive the medication by mail and without any in-person dispensation requirement. But the Supreme Court did not address the doctor's claims that the FDA erred in those regulations, which were enacted in 2016 and 21. Man, I wish I was president. First day. You know how when you go to any anti-abortion rally and the wackos are holding up images of like an aborted fetus? It's horrible. And they'll say something like, look what you're doing. If I were president, you know, the folder you signed the executive order, then the president, Trump would hold it up. I'd get that image and put it there and say, I want to see more of this. I'd establish a website that says, it's called governmentabortion.com. Post your handiwork here. Patrick says, this may be the greatest way to take a stance that's ever been taken. Well, absolutely. That is the only way to tackle abortion. Simultaneously, make the left hate you and support your comments, while equally get the right to love your stance and want to murder you for it. Fucking A. Day one. This is what I need to see. You baby killers, get to work. You are baby killers. And I'm not getting in the way of your murder. It's like the purge for babies. Jeremy writes, you're too young to be president, EZ. You have to wait at least another 35 years. I think I'd be a great president. I thought about this. After the first 4 years is winding down, I've got like a 94% approval rating. And all of America is happy with my performance. And yet, there's someone, and I went one as an independent. I have no care in the world. Okay? I barely even work. But America couldn't be in a better spot. And then it comes time to get reelected. This is what I would do. I would say, yeah, I've decided that there'll be no campaigning and no debating. I will not have one campaign fundraiser. I will accept no dollars. I don't want anything. And if there's any ads that appear on TV, I do not support any of them. I will spend no American dollars on me doing any type of trying to get my next 4 years. Instead, I'm just going to be the president and say scoreboard. Okay? That's all I'm going to do. I will let my 4 years of perfect work get me elected. And if that's not good enough, then go fuck yourself. And I would actually say that. If what I've done is not already the greatest thing in the history of America, not only will I win re-election, but I want to be known as the greatest president as ever. And if not, fuck you. And then just drop the mic, middle fingers like Kenny Powers, get me paid, bitch. And then that's the end of it. Thank you. I believe I'll be spending 4 more years in the White House. That's how you do this shit. And I think the 26 of you on the chat may agree. That's right. It is a fantastic Friday. Do whatever you want weekend is in store. I would love it if you join me this Friday at Davenport University today. I said this Friday. Today. There's a soccer game going on at 7 p.m. The Michigan Rangers NPSL semi-pro team. All right. And Joe Martinez says, you sound like Trump now. Well, no, but you didn't listen. I just said The point is, I'm not campaigning. I'm just going to do a great job and then let it be there. That is not like Trump. Trump doesn't work. Nobody works like EZ. Come to the soccer game tonight and be part of Hecklefest 2024. Even if you don't say anything during the Hecklefest, you're going to hear other people that are. I don't know if they drink in the parking lot or what, but at about the midway point of the game, especially if we're losing, the fans of the Rangers start to talk shit to the other team and the ref, and they can hear everything. All right? It's a very intimate setting. So come on in, pay the $10. I'm there doing PA. We can hear everything you're saying. The game is being recorded. All right? Because Magic Misfit says video this. It is. And then I take the stream on Monday and play back the highlights of like fucking chicks telling the refs to suck their pussy or something. It's fucking great. And you can see it live tonight. Davenport University. Pay the $10. Go in there and check it out. Magic Misfit says, are they hot? They don't sound it. You can actually hear the fat. Like the woman that was barking last week, I didn't ever lay eyes on the woman, but I pictured like floppy titties, tube top, flip-flops, looks like shit. Smells like food, that type of deal. All right. So I don't know who Magic Misfit is, but I'm always intrigued as who the new active people are, and then you fit that description. Send me an email, eric@ericzaneshow.com, on the Shoreliner Striping inbox. I want to know who you are and what your history is. Or are you an old person who just changed names? Okay? Because I don't know. I'm at a real disadvantage. Eric@ericzaneshow.com. I want to know where you're listening from. You don't have to give me your real name. Just tell me, give me your history. I don't communicate with many people often. All right. Frank Fuss is, of course, the insurance person on record. And yesterday was day one of the next 30 years of life insurance that I now have because of Frank Fuss. So if I die before June 13th, 2054, Pooh Bear gets $250,000. 30-year policy. You pay a little bit each month. Peace of mind, knowing your family's taken care of. That way, if something that's most likely not going to happen happens, they're not stuck with the stupid GoFundMe because you were too much of a stubborn prick to spend a few bucks on life insurance. You owe it to your family, dick. So go to buyinsurancehere.com. Spend a few bucks a month on a life insurance policy. You will talk to Frank Fuss. He is the authority on these things. Life insurance. Hang on a second. Q100. Hello?
Hello, Eric?
Yeah, this is Eric. Who's this?
Hey, Eric, Leo Garcia with Home Pro Connects. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. What's going on with you, Neil?
Leadership Home Improvement in Hudsonville. We're doing free inspections on the roof on Oak Meadow.
Oh.
Property owner at
Oh,
79 Oak Meadow Court in Hudsonville.
Yeah, I just got a new roof.
Oh, man, anything on the inside you want to get a free estimate on? Bathroom, showers?
I just got everything redone. The whole house burned to the ground.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear
Oh,
that.
it was-
You got that taken care of, though.
It was unbelievable. You wouldn't have believed it, man.
Was it on the news?
Yeah, you're damn right it was. I was in the house sleeping, and
Oh, man.
you wouldn't have believed it. The thing went off. I grabbed the dogs, grabbed my wife, and we were outside, and we got out, though. We got out. I hated that place, though.
No, that's when you know God is with you.
You're damn
That's
right.
good, man. Stay safe. Thank you for taking the call, though. Have a good morning.
You know, it was crazy. Oh, shit, I wasn't done. Anyway. I saw an area code. I thought it was a radio station listener. All right. We've got the asshole of the day today. If you have any suggestions, I don't even know what to say. Asshole of the day, that guy. No, he was a hardworking Mexican. How do you know he was a Mexican? I could hear it. You could tell it was a Mexican. Kenny says, damn it, telemarketer hung up on me. I wasn't done telling them my story. Yeah, that was too bad. I wanted him to stay on the line. All right. What did I get into today that would be asshole of the month or asshole of the day worthy? Okay, TV8 reporter, girls softball, bees. The kid is missing. Pennywise is missing. Women's basketball kind of sucks. We talked a lot about finger blasting today. I'm kind of at a loss. Well, when in doubt, we can always get away with this. Today's asshole of the day brought to you by TC Paintball. It's probably free beer. Fuck that guy. All right. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you. You're a spectacular audience, as always. My God, excuse me. That's going to do it for this edition. Till next time, I'll talk to you down the road. Talk to you on the Patreon bonus podcast. Sign up for free for Patreon. That's, if you don't know, that's a new thing relatively. You sign up at patreon.com/Eric Zane, and you can do it for free. You do have to put in a payment form, but you cancel it right after. And then you get the 7 days. It's a great way to try it out. And then if you want it after the 7 days, you just sign up again and throw me $5 or $10 if that's worth it. Okay. Have a good one, folks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.